Welcome everyone to the new episode of the podcast What It Takes. Today we have the pleasure to have as a guest Remy. How are you doing, Remy?
Amazing as every day. Thank you. What about you?
I'm very good, thank you. So to start the podcast, I have a question for you. I would like to know what is the one thing that I have to know to understand the man who sits in front of me today.
Oof, a very deep question just from the get-go. Very interesting. What you have to understand, I would say, it stands in one sentence. All masks off, which means no filter, which means I can say anything and everything that comes to my mind, and I don't put myself any filters. Just it's about how I say it, but I will say everything. So I like to be very open about things and very straightforward. That's it. So whatever you ask, I will answer.
Okay, that's good to know. So we're gonna have a good conversation today.
I hope so, for sure.
Perfect. So for the community, for the audience, can you describe a bit who you are first, Remy? Okay, from which country? What do you do in a few sentences?
Of course. So my name is Remy. I'm from France. I've lived here in Hungary for a year. I've been an expat for the past few years already. It's been 3 years and a half. I've been an expat in different countries. I've traveled around the world, around 45, 50 countries. I've met many different people. And I have two businesses, let's say. One which is about B2B, one which is about B2C. One is about helping companies, and the other one is about helping human beings, men especially. I would say men's mental health. Let's make it like this. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. So you like to travel 40, 50 countries?
I love to travel for sure. And I always have a good reason to travel. Yes. Partly for work, partly for fun, let's say.
Okay, 50-50.
Yes. I always have a good reason from both sides, which makes it pleasurable. Sometimes only from the fun side, for sure. When it's short trips, like in Europe, yes. If it's like very far, it's usually also for a good reason, business-wise.
Okay.
So yeah.
Great. Great. And so, yeah, to understand yourself a bit more, can you explain us why, for example, first, did you start a business in the B2C area first or B2B?
So I would say mostly B to B2C, actually, to make it very clear. It was more like in sales. I had a few things before that when I was a freelancer. I was teaching languages, so French to foreigners, English to French people, which was like, let's say, a starting point. So kind of like coaching, let's say, but it's still like you spend time to get money in exchange. So it's still, like a bit kind of like as an employee, let's say, not quite, but still. And then it was like B2B2C in sales. So I was like a first prospector, like phone prospector, like cold calling, basically.
Okay.
Then it was like appointment setting. Then it was like closing deals, then managing sales teams, and then managing a whole ecosystem. So many different sales teams from the operational parts, also processes in terms of acquisition, qualification, conversion. So how to retain also the customers. And it was for companies that were selling to people, so to customers, exactly, and we were helping them with that. So I managed a few hundred, let's say, closers and setters in total. I managed around in total 70 sales teams. So yeah, that was mainly that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you have started as a freelancer to teach English to French people?
And French to foreigners, mostly French to foreigners, but also a bit English to French people. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so this is like, is it like the first job or business that you have started on your own?
Exactly. Actually, for the funny story, I've never worked a day in my life as an employee.
Never.
Never.
Wow. Okay.
So that's. I would assume it's good. I mean, I've never been in this like 9 to 5 thing, because even when I was working as a teacher, I was working like from 7 a.m. to midnight. Like not all the time 15 hours. Sometimes I had breaks, but it was between 12 hours, I can say 10 hours minimum of work, up to 16 hours, 18 hours of work.
Yeah. Per day?
Per day, every day.
Why did you choose like a rhythm that intense in your life at that time?
Because I could see that it was bringing results. My students were happy. And I was like, okay, it's very nice. I like to bring value to people. I was like, so why not doing it a lot and making a lot of money? I mean, at that time, it was a lot of money for me. It was like between 2.5K upwards to 4.5K. So, why not?
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm working a lot, but I'm still making a lot of money.
Yeah. It goes together.
From 0 to 2.5, I was like, okay, sure.
Good start. Yeah.
Different.
Okay, great. And how old were you at that time?
I was 19. 19.
19.
Or
Okay.
was it? Yeah, something like that. 19 or 19 and a half, close to 20, basically.
Okay. And before that, did you study or did you go to the university or not?
Oh, yes, I have a degree, actually.
Yeah.
I studied in university. I skipped a grade, so which means that I started earlier. So I started at 17, finished at around 19 and a half. And then before finishing, I started teaching. So I was not doing 2 classes. I was just like working the whole time. I passed my diploma. I had it, no problem. And then I just worked. That's it.
Okay.
I moved abroad. Like 1 month after I finished my studies, I was like, I'm leaving France. I'm going abroad. And I went to Georgia.
To Georgia?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you still like finish university, get your diploma. What did you study?
Foreign languages and political science.
Okay. Why this choice?
I was like, I want something that's non-committing, like something that allows me to travel and to do things on the side to enjoy, let's say. Because at first I wanted to be a doctor, but I was like, if I have to study like 10, 11 years and then I'm going to be stuck in a place, I was like, I don't want to do that. So I chose like studies that would allow me to travel. And foreign languages was like, okay, I'm going to learn a language, Russian especially. I was like, Russian women, you know what? Why not? University didn't really help me to learn Russian, but going abroad to Russia and Ukraine helped me a lot.
Okay.
So that's how I learned mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, yeah, you finish the university, you start to work as a freelancer in between, and then you finish the university and you go straight to Georgia.
Exactly.
Why Georgia?
Because I fell in love with the country at first. I was like, it's a small country, human-sized, a lot of forests and mountains, everything I love. Because I'm not much a sea person. I'm like really like mountain and forest kind of vibe. And the thing is so funny. My ex just before moving to Georgia was Georgian, but not speaking Georgian. Her parents were. It was a whole story, very funny. Like a very specific religion called Yazidi. It's like it's very unknown in the West, but it's something.
What is it about to explain to the people?
It's a very old Kurdish religion for Kurdish people. Yeah. It's very specific, and their divinity, the god, takes place as a peacock. You know what is a peacock?
Yeah. I don't.
Pon.
Okay. Yeah, peacock.
Yeah. Like a peacock that comes from the sun, like some interesting thing, and they have like holy angels. Like I think it's 6 or 7. 7, I think it is. So yeah, it's very specific. And I don't know. I had already researched a bit about Georgia, and I had because I had the ability to ask for like an internship to embassies and stuff. And I asked for Georgia, and when I asked for Georgia, I was like, I really want to go to Georgia because I checked the country, really liked the vibe. In the end, because of the COVID situation, I wasn't taken. But I was like, I still want to go to Georgia, so let me find a way. And I found a way.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you fly to Georgia on your own, and did you have a plan at that time? Like, okay, I go to Georgia for 6 months, a year, or I just go and I will see.
Go and see.
Just go and see.
2 other times after Georgia, when I've moved abroad, I've done the same. It was like in 1 week I chose to move abroad. 1 week I chose to move to Bulgaria afterwards, and in 1 week I chose to move to Hungary and Budapest.
Okay.
So it was just really like, you know what? I've always been in favor of like, let's do first and see what's happening. That's it. It's easier.
Yeah, because you don't know many things before you go experience. So
Definitely.
that's a good mindset, yeah, for sure. And so you arrive in Georgia, you work as a freelancer. So how long do you stay there, and do you continue to work as a freelancer?
I've continued to work as a freelancer for a bit as teacher, just to let's say survive in this regard. And I was already starting to focus on business. It was at first just an e-commerce shop which was about pots, like to put plants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, we made a bit of profit, like in the span of a month and a half. At first, we made 500 euros profits, which was not bad. But the thing is, it wasn't really my thing because it was spending a lot of time just not talking to anyone, and I really enjoy being around people or talking to people. So I was like, and then there was this. I think you know about it. I mean, I do think Tugan.
Yeah, to the, yeah.
So we had this. We bought with my friend this course about. He had the whole package at the time for 2K. I think he was.
Okay.
And the PM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I tried to do 1 PM, but the thing is, I'm very much of a perfectionist and I really like to bring value to people. So I started by doing something simple, and then I went to do more and more and more and more. And I had like written around 100 pages of content for the product that I wanted to deliver. And then I was like, I'm never going to make it, because the whole concept about PM is to make something very simple that you can sell very fast and just make profit out of the masses. And I really didn't like it. So in the end, I went into sales. So
Okay. Sales. And so when you went into sales, like you started to work for an agency, or what was the approach?
I got coached by a sales guy who was coaching a few people at the same time. Like we were a group of 10 people or something. And then the whole deal was that they would send us to like an agency to start working as like setters, closers, let's say. Yeah.
Okay. At that time, you stopped working as a freelancer, or it was
Yeah.
still there?
I stopped working as a freelancer at that time. I was just focused on this one.
Okay, so just sales, getting trained,
Yeah.
and then you started to work like in an agency.
Exactly.
Okay. And how long did you do that for? Like sales?
So pure, like in this agency, it was for about a year and a half. And then I stopped altogether for certain reasons. So that I can't mention, let's say, but ethical reasons. Let's just say it like this.
Okay.
And yeah, in the end, I just started my own, which was on the same concept but in a different way, as in just instead of coaching the salespeople to become salespeople and then putting them on sales teams, it was more a job of recruiting the right salespeople that were fit for the missions, and to just like for each new mission to recruit the right people. That's it.
Okay.
So not have newcomers or beginners, let's say, in the sales industry, but having the right profiles that had already received, let's say, coaching approach, had already made calls and sales. Like this.
Okay. So you were like the middleman between like companies and sales profiles, and you were connecting them?
Not only as a middleman, but we were like in charge of everything. So for the companies, we were in charge of their sales teams. They were outsourcing their sales teams to us. And for the closers, we were in charge of managing them and still coaching them, like day after day, let's say.
Okay. And so you did that on your own, and what happened? Did you grow it, or?
So I was with 2 other guys. We started with one guy, and then another guy came with us. And so we grew it to, let's say, around 10 partnerships, 10 sales teams. And then there are a few of them that we stopped collaborating with. So in the end, we just focused on the few ones that were left. And on the side, I started my second business, which is about the men's mental health. So yeah.
Okay. And why did some sales team left? Because you chose, or because they chose?
Some of them we chose to stop it because it wasn't really profitable from both sides. So there was a lot of time and energy investments, which amounts to money investment at the same time because of the time that we can't allocate to other businesses, let's say, that didn't bring any real concrete results. So we decided to stop them. Some of them, they decided by themselves. They're like the same conclusion that we made about others, they made about the whole collaboration. So they also stopped collaborating. And there was one of them that decided that it's a whole thing, pretended like they were going to stop it. And in the end, they didn't stop it, but they just took some of our processes to work with another partner. So yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That's not very ethical.
Not very ethical, but well, what can you do?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And so, yeah, why did you then start a business on your own for men's health? How did the idea come to you first?
It had already, it has, let's say, grown for a year or so, because one of my best friends was really repeating to me, "Oh, you should start coaching people about that. That's where you have your, let's say, your best ability. That's where you have really the passion that works, and at the same time, the abilities to help people. You have the experience, you have the knowledge. Combining that all together, you can really bring something to people." And he was repeating that to me, and there were other friends that started doing that to me. And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? And at first I tried to start it in English, but I was like, starting two businesses at the same time, no. And so I tried it for like a month or two. I was like, oh, okay, I can't do that. And I refocused on the main one, the sales one. And 1 year later, which was about 6 months ago, all right, a bit more now, I think, in March, basically. Yeah. I had a call from a friend. He was like, yeah, I have this guy, you really need to help him regarding like this, like men's health and everything, and relationships, let's say with women and stuff. It's like, sure, okay, we can hop on a call, talk about it. And we talked a bit, and I figured out that, okay, there's something to do for sure. So I was like, let me do something. And I really thought about it like this. Let me craft a proposal, like an offer, and to create the products basically like on paper. And if he accepts the deal, I will start everything. I will start creating content. I will do the whole thing, and then that's it. If he doesn't accept the offer, then it's not meant to be, and I will not start it.
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
So the whole destiny of this project was relying on one guy.
Exactly.
Why this logic?
I like to observe things as are they meant to be or not. Actually, one of my favorite sentences to say to a woman that I'm not really into. Let's say I go and approach her. In the end, she doesn't fit my standards, either physically or mentally. Then instead of taking her contact and like not talking to her, what I usually do is like, well, very nice meeting you. If it is fated, then we will meet again. And so I leave it to fate. And then she understands, like in a very polite manner, that's okay, no. If we see each other, why not? But no.
You can.
So fate, let's say, but this not really fate as in everything is destined, but there's a connection to be made, and if things happen, it's for a reason like this. So I like to follow that logic. And so here it's like letting go expectations, and whatever happens, I'm fine with it. And in the end, it went this way. So why not?
Okay. Interesting. So he has accepted your offer, the project that you have crafted.
Mhm.
Okay. And that was so your first client for this project?
First paid client, because I was coaching unofficially like many guys before. Actually, no, I coached a few guys that paid me beforehand, around 5, 6 guys. Yeah, 6 guys, for a way lower amount, way smaller amount. But it was a bit different, and this time the packaging that I took was more also oriented towards healing wounds and working on the past. Not only about relationships and dealing with women, but main focus being healing the wounds and deconstructing the limiting beliefs.
Okay. Yeah. Why did you add this approach or services in your product and not focusing only on relationship between men and women?
Because I had finished my healing process and I understood how different it felt just to deal with women while being healed. And it was like the difference between the heaven and earth. Like it's huge difference, and you feel way more fulfilled. And I felt way less needy. Also, just doing my thing. I absolutely don't care, because I have this utmost conviction that I can, at any point, if I don't talk to women, I can just go and approach women in the streets and find new opportunities. Like I really feel this state of abundance. It's just whatever comes, I can create my own opportunities in a very simple way. And I always have opportunities that come in front of me, and I just have to make it happen. Like, let's say, even a few days ago in the plane, I just found a woman attractive, like interesting, like strange, which is my type, like quite strange, but interesting.
Strange in which way?
Actually, the third sentence that I said to this woman, because two first sentence was, "Are you married? And how old are you?" Because she looked really out of my usual, let's say, target, because she looked like she was more than 35, like over 35, yeah.
Okay.
Which I usually don't go for older than 30. So, but anyway, she looked interesting, like very interesting or weird, and I like that. So just like I had zero expectations. I didn't want to even get her contact or anything. I was just curious. So I asked those two questions. At first, she told me she was married, and she didn't even tell me her age. I don't even know her age. And then in the end, I ended up talking to her a bit more afterwards, after the custom control, because it was when the plane landed. Then we talked, and the third sentence I asked was like, "Okay, I have to confess something to you." I was like, in the plane, you really looked like you were on crystal MDMA.
I've never heard that.
Yes.
Was it the first time you said this sentence, or you use it often?
Oh no, it was the first. No, because it's all contextual. I didn't create that out of thin air. She really looked a bit like it. She's like a bit looking everywhere, a bit strange, because I've seen people before that were on crystal MDMA in the plane, so I know how it looks like. And I was like, okay, very strange, and I was really confused. But the crazy thing is, for example, in this context, I was looking my worst. I was coming back from the trip. I was underslept. I was in jog pants. And even the craziest thing, because of certain circumstances, I hadn't showered in 5 days. 5 days! Like, it was crazy. I was
another story.
I was looking messy as fuck, like crazy messy. And my voice was really like, let's say, not deep, but shallow, let's say. So I was speaking a bit as if I was a teenager. Like nothing was right. Nothing was right. Looking dirty and stuff, whatever. Okay. And still, in the end, it was funny. It was a very funny and interesting interaction. In the end, she told me that she wasn't married.
She was?
She wasn't.
So she lied to you at the beginning?
Yeah. And in the end, she told me, because I was like, okay, it was nice meeting you. Well, have a good day. And then I looked at her, and she was still looking at me intensely. I was like, are you by any chance not married? She's like, yeah, actually, I'm not. I was like, okay, you know what? Fair enough. Let me grab your contact, and we can talk later on and have an interaction, have a meeting, whatever. I don't even have expectations for this. It was just like, interesting profile. Why not? That's my thoughts pattern, let's say. I'm not expecting any woman, whatever. I don't care. Because I talk to many women at the same time, and I understand the perspective, and I'm not even looking for, let's say, a sexual encounter. I don't care about that. I care about good connection. That's it. And someone that's going to blow my mind. That's it. So high standards, low expectations.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned connection. What is a good connection for you?
Very interesting question. Good connection. I would say it all dives down to the ability to be very open about the world, very curious, to also be spiritual, I would say, to acknowledge that there is something bigger than us, and that it's not only about the human realm, the matter. There is also the spirit, the soul, this understanding, and someone that doesn't party, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, usually takes care of themselves, and that loves themselves. Usually the key about the connection is, does the person love themselves? If they do, then it leaves room for love from a person to another. And love doesn't have to be romantic. It's just pure, sheer love and appreciation for the other person. So if there is that, and this openness about really genuinely wanting to know more about the person, connection there is. And again, doesn't even have to be romantic. It can be with a friend. You really connect with them, you bond with them, you create this bond that's strong, that's firm, and then you really, let's say, can understand them on a way deeper level. It's not shallow.
Yeah, there is some consistency.
Exactly.
You can build something on it.
Yes. And you can have the trust, because when there is love, there is trust. If there is no trust, there is no love. It's impossible. Doesn't make sense. And in Russian, they have a very interesting saying, which is there are three things that go together, which is vera, which is the faith, nadezhda, which is the hope, and lyubov, which is love. So basically, they are talking also about the connection to God, and at the same time, the relationship between a husband and a wife. So to God, it's the same thing. You have faith, you have hope thanks to the faith, and you have love, pure, unconditional love. And with your partner, it's supposed to be the same. On a, let's say, lower scale than to God or to the universe, because it's on the same plane of reality, but still faith, definitely, hope, for sure, and love. If one is missing, the other two are gonna fail, let's say.
Okay, so they are tied together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so you speak about like these pillars from Russia. I remember now that you were talking at the beginning when you were learning languages that you have learned Russian.
Absolutely.
Why did you pick Russian as a language?
Mm-hmm. I had a choice between Japanese and Russian. I was like, Russian is more useful because it's spoken in around 17 countries, which are all the ex-USSR countries, pretty much, which is pretty nice. And so 245 million people around, or 250 maybe, which is a lot of people. So business-wise, it's interesting. Also, in terms of communication with the world, it's interesting. And I was young. I was like, Russian women, okay, why not? And I went for Russian.
Okay.
Yeah, just like typical, I would say, thought pattern of a 17-year-old. You see, Russian women, Japanese women. Japanese women are cute, but Russian women are Russian women, or let's say Slavic women are Slavic women. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have today the same appetite regarding Slavic women, or did it change compared to when you were young, as you were saying?
I still have the same preference. Slavic women have, I would say, an intemporal charm, like a charm that's ageless, that doesn't age. And especially as they are young, they really know how to take care of themselves. The only drawback I would say that there is to their charm, to their prettiness, of course, is the fact that most of the time, more often than not, they are very wounded. So they have a traumatic childhood, which doesn't allow them to really be fulfilled in a relationship. So they require healing process for sure. Like I've heard crazy stories about the dad beating the mom and raping her in front of the daughter and stuff, like, or the daughter seeing, for example, her dad like doing crazy things with another woman, in like some like crazy things of being beaten up by the dad, like just everything all around. It's like, so not fun things, that's for sure. Even though like they have less problems at school than Western European countries, for example, because at school they have this process where the education system is like you have the same people in your class and the same teachers from year 1 to year 12. So it's always the same teachers and they accompany you through the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah. You will add some teachers, for example, when you start learning about physics, because you won't start year 1 to learn about physics, but there will be add-ons, but you will keep them your whole time at school, which is why that basically after the 12 years, it's the same people that were in the class. There is no change, or there are many people that are going to come, some that are going to go if they move out of town. but it's all same people, which means that they're really deep friendships that are created, and it leaves very little room for bullying, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, but that's the first time I hear that because yeah, regarding the Western system or even, for example, France,
Hmm.
it's not like this. Yeah.
Not at all. They separate it, but again, separating to or dividing to better rule over them, like keep them, like divided and control them. That's something different, but that's yeah.
Okay. Okay. And if we come back to our so your first client,
Mm-hmm.
what was the purpose of the offer that you gave him? What was the help that he needed at that time?
Mm-hmm. Reconnecting with his emotions first, better understanding women second, because of quite a few times where he failed to. So he made a few approaches in the past, and he actually did quite a bit of effort, but without seeing results. So there was that, and the ability to heal out of his toxicity because of a noticeable toxic behavior, even with his friends, in a way that could be called a bit disrespectful, which is also why his friend, which was my friend also, recommended me to him. So, yeah, and it really helped him. Now it's been 6 months or a bit more. So now he's a changed man.
Really?
Oh, yes.
In 6 months?
Yes, for sure. Extremely simple for him now to approach me in the streets. He has interesting results, honestly, coming from where he starts. He started at least. So, yeah. And even inner peace. So, overall, very good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think about what you say, like there is like this vertical of helping men in that case on the relationship between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, you also added like first reconnecting with yourself, understanding your emotions, and heal yourself
Absolutely.
to then be able to share your love in a way.
Mm-hmm.
How do you structure this service and how do you give it to the people?
So, that's the thing. Most men, at first, when they are confronted to this kind of content, and it doesn't strike them as something that they need, because that's the problem. So there are problems on both sides with men and women, of course, or challenges that they face regarding mental health. For men, it's that they have a hard time acknowledging that they have issues from their past. But then when they acknowledge them, it's quite easy for them to work on them as long as they are the right person to help them. Because there's always this need for mentorship, for someone to help, someone that can oversee their progress and that can help them in their endeavor. So that's for sure. And for women, it's that they will have an easy time acknowledging that they have issues from their past, but a very hard time accepting to work on it. Or they're gonna make do, let's say, try to do some things, but it's gonna be like an insignificant amount of effort. Just like, oh, I'm gonna read books and try to work on myself. Nothing. So I would say women are harder to help regarding that in the part of healing wounds, not in the part of like what we would call self-help, because there's a distinction, like a um, very big difference between self-help, which is basically about making your whole present life fine and coherent and feeling good in your present. For example, it's like working out, eating good, sleeping enough. It's not having sex with strangers. Just depends. It depends. But no, overall, it's like not corrupting your energy, and it's like in the present. So it's something that grounds you in the present, which is good. It's having a structure, discipline. Okay, fair enough. But that's not enough. If you have, let's say, wounds, if you are wounded and it's open, it's bleeding, it's not by just, like taking care of yourself that you're gonna heal this wound. You have to focus on it. And that's basically what we would call the inner work. Inner work, which is different from self-help. It's like you go back in the past. You dive deep in your childhood memories you reconnect with your inner child, you work things out, and you let go of all the emotions that were still in your body. You know, there's this thing that is called somatizing. Somatizing is like when some emotions that were left unexpressed, so that you didn't express, are staying stuck in your body somewhere. So you have some pain somewhere, like for example in the lower back, in the chest, in the throat, in the lower abdomen, let's say. It can be even in genitalia. Like it can be many places. And there is, for example, something very interesting that's been noticed by a Canadian surgeon, like gastric surgeon. He made a study about it, which was like absolutely crazy and mind-blowing, which was that he noticed they were all the people that had a very specific kind of, I would call pathology, I would say, like some kind of pain that was somehow unexplainable from a it wasn't really a disease, just like they feel pain at a certain space in their intestine. And all those people they have been found out to have been raped in their childhood. So all the same people that have been raped in their childhoods, and most of them, it was a memory that they forgot. You know, like it's just the brain that turns off this memory to not literally like be in such a huge amount of distress, whatever. And so after it's been found out that all of them had the same condition, they had been raped in their childhood, and this emotion that's been somatized was stuck in this part of their body. So very interesting. And so there are parts that can be associated with a certain kind of context from the childhood, certain emotion, basically, that hadn't been expressed. So there's this whole thing. And so it's all about understanding that, taking care of it, and allowing yourself to release them to then be fulfilled and be very peaceful in your next relationships or encounters.
Okay. Yeah, that's very detailed. How do you apply it to your clients or the people you work with? For example, do you work with only men or also women?
I have taken, let's say, as subjects, lab tests, women sometime. Some of them have done great. One of them I'm still coaching. So I usually don't take women. It's more towards men because that was actually the question, but we were like in so many different places. So I talked to men at first about interpersonal relationships and seduction. That's the main thing I'm covering in my videos or content. And then I'm telling them a bit more about approaching women, texting women, dating women. And then it's this understanding that you cannot do that in the best way if you're not healed. So the entrance to that is seduction and their relationship with women. And the next step is understanding that you cannot have a fulfilling interaction with a woman as long as you're not healed. And how does it take place is through two kind of sessions. So there's a whole work that they do by themselves, which is like, so there's the journaling and meditation by themselves. There are like some what we call creative writing that they do, where they recreate certain memories by writing them out and changing what happened, things like that. There are also like walking in the nature, reconnecting with yourself. Certain kind of yoga, like yoga to really relax yourself and basically allow certain emotions to be expressed. And for those who are quite creative, there are also like some playing an instrument, let's say, or drawing, painting, such things, depending on what they like. And then the sessions that we do together is like, one of them is kind of like hypnosis state when you change from the conscious to the subconscious or the unconscious more than the subconscious. So you go deep within their mind to a place that they cannot access alone, let's say, or it's quite hard.
So you do that with them?
With them.
Okay. Is it always in person or you do it also digitally?
It's mostly online.
Okay.
It's easier.
It works well still?
I have an amazing microphone and they wear headphones all the time. So yes, I can do something very good. And as long as you put your energy into it, it works. It's all about, but there is a base a disciplined base to have for that to work. It's they have to meditate every day by themselves to have the best effect when we do it together, the meditation. Because when we do it, it's about 20 to 45 minutes. It's quite intense. So if they're not used to it, their mind can go elsewhere and it's not going to be as effective.
Yeah. So first they meditate on their own, and then you meditate together.
Exactly.
Okay. And when they meditate on their own, do you still give them like a guidance or a structure, or you just say meditate, find the way you want to meditate, because there are many?
So I've created specifically for them meditations that I've done myself. So I recorded them myself, and they just have to listen to them and to just do it like in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. So they also get used to my voice, which is even better for them to, when we do the guided meditation, to get into the state because they're used to it.
Okay. Okay. And so you say, yeah, you still work with one woman, but women in general are not your target.
I mean, I'm not aiming at them with my content, but if I have recommendations from my clients to help certain women, then I can take care of them. Yeah. It's just that I'm not aiming at them because it would be like a disfocus. It's easier to target just either men or women rather than everyone. So
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Okay. Okay, so you implement this consciousness meditation. How long is this process before you start to dig into relationship between men and women to heal the person first?
it depends on them. Some of them we can do it in 3 months, but it's just quite intense. Quite intense because it's about 2 to 3 sessions per week, plus everything they have to do on their side, like the discipline part every day, plus the exercises, plus I do coaching sessions also like with the group, with the group for the relationships, like approaches, texting game, dating. So altogether, if they do in 3 months, it means that it takes them around 20 to 25 hours per week, which is, it's quite a lot of time.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
So, but that's where they see let's say, the biggest results in the shortest amount of time. Some of them it's in 6 months, the whole coaching, let's say. And so after the 4th month, we start with the relationships. But in reality, when I'm saying we start with the relationships, like we start focusing on it one-to-one a bit more, because even on the first or second month, I still make them start approaching and I give them all the content about it, because the best way to observe how different you're becoming is by having like practice and interacting with other people. So to me, it's like it's one and the same. It's like very interconnected. It's, let's say, inner part, theoretical part of the work that you do on yourself. And when you're communicating with women, for example, in the context of dating, approaching them and stuff. So I have this like multi-layered approach where they have to do not everything all at once, but it's organized in the span of the week, so they have the different things, the different parts, they come together. So at first, it's usually when we start easy, then it gets a bit complicated for them. They're a bit lost. And then it gets back to, okay, now I understand. It feels better. It feels nicer. There's this peak of after a month and a half, where it starts to be very intense for them with the work we do individually, the work with the group, and the approaches that they do by themselves. And then it's just about reassuring them and helping them to overcome this. So, yeah.
Okay. And how many of them are going until the end of your coaching? Do some of them stop in the way because of any reason?
No. All of them go forward because it's clear from the start. I'm not selling this at all. So I have never needed to sell this coaching, because I'm always saying the same thing. I'm not doing it for the money that I can get out of it. I'm just being paid for the amount of work that I put. But I put a lot of work, honestly, and I create a lot of content about it and stuff. So the thing is, it's their choice. I'm like, You have to be absolutely ready to heal, and that's it, and to know that you want to heal and nothing else. If you're not sure about that, then it's not worth it that we start together, because the whole process is for you to heal. So it's never ending until they are healed, which means that even if it's going to take 1 year, we're going to take 1 year, because the main point is for them to heal. So I take the time and the energy with each client to make sure that they are healing. And that's it.
Okay, so that's the main goal,
Absolutely.
to heal the person.
And we don't stop until they heal. Yeah.
And when you say heal, what is like the exact meaning?
So they have wounds from their father's side and mother's side. It's about healing both wounds, like the main wound and the secondary wound, basically, and its influence on them. And then it's about deconstructing the limiting beliefs. So when they observe that they feel, most of the time, they're in one of the two states. It's either they're very peaceful or they feel very joyful. That's when they know that they are healed. And when they interact with women, they feel very comfortable and confident. Then they know that it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. And how do you manage it today? So this part of your life, coaching, man healing, and the other side, because you said that you also work or you have a business in B2B. What is it about?
How do I organize everything? Or
Yeah, the B2B side, like is it another business or is it linked to the men? And
no, it's totally different. It's totally
okay.
different. Actually, recently I had a bit of a transition, and now I'm working very much on a project with Baptiste, which you know already. Yeah. So, and we're doing quite a few things together. So that's the main part about the B2B now. And so yeah, it takes, let's say, I'm trying to make it, because again, now I have a few clients on the men's health side. So I just have to, now it's a turning point for me. I have to reorganize myself completely about my schedule and everything. But the main point is I want to allocate about 25% of my time to what I would call the business that is about passion, my passion, which is helping men healing, and I don't know, helping people healing, because it's not about men. And the rest would be for the B2B business. So there's the bread earning or bread winning, let's say. I think it's bread earning, whatever.
Yeah.
Business, which is the B2B one, to make money. It's like it's business. This business has no I like to do what I do, but it's not pure passion. It's just like I'm good at it. So sure, why not? And then there's the second one, which is just about healing people, when I'm happy to take more time and energy because I love doing it. So it's not a hassle for me to do it. So I can afford to do that. So that's the point. And restructuring so that I have all my content creation that's being, let's say, automated in a way, or reorganized. So it's like very methodical. And so that I can focus on the B2B part and deliver my clients on the men's health side. So yeah, it's now it's quite hectic, actually.
Yeah, you have to readapt your way of working.
Exactly.
Okay, and how did you end up thinking, okay, I'm going to split 25-75? Why not 50-50, for example?
Because on the passion side, I prefer to just do things that I love, and the rest that I don't like. For example, I don't like to do the editing for my content. I don't like to organize the planning of my content. Those things. I don't like to organize the direction of my content. I like to create the content. Sure, I really love doing it. Like recording videos, it's fun. Writing articles, I've written a few scientific articles about. Actually, it's one of my main topics is also like behavioral and cognitive psychology and interpersonal relationships psychology. So that's this. I have this angle in my content, which is why usually people come to me. It's not only about seduction and dating. It's about understanding on a deeper psychological level why things are like this. And so through all of that, the main point would be to just create the content, deliver to my clients, which for the content creation, it can take just 1 weekend per month or even 1 full day per month, because when I am certain I know what to do, it's like very simple.
And when you say creating content, is it only videos or newsletter?
Actually, I have a lot of content. So supposedly I'm supposed to have YouTube videos. So at first I had 1 per day. Now I'm going to make 2 per week, basically. So it's going to be 8 per month. Instagram videos, which would be like 15 to 20 per week. Twitter, 1 tweet per day, 3 threads per week. And then I have the Telegram, where it's a post or 2, let's say supposedly 3 to 5 per week. And then I have the newsletter, 2 episodes per week. So a lot of content.
Okay. And is it the same content used on the different platforms, or you adapt the content regarding the platform?
Each platform, different content.
What is choice?
Because each platform has a different audience, I would say. So I have one branch which is basically Twitter plus newsletter. So it's all about, let's say, seduction from a psychological perspective. But also, I'm being quite, especially on Twitter, I'm being quite, let's say, viral or, in a certain way. One of my last thread actually, was made 1.2 million views. It started like this. She was only 19, still a virgin. After 3 hours after meeting me, she asked me, I want you to take care of me. Here is what it tells about society nowadays and what I understood from it. And all the leftist people in France, they started to become crazy, oh, it's your imagination. Oh, you are speaking bullshit. Oh, you're a pedophile. All the craziest things. And they reposted me, all of them. So it gained traction. I was and I absolutely don't care, because it happened. I was 21 when it happened and she was 19. So 2 years difference, whatever, not a pedophile. And I never said that I did anything with her. I just explained that she asked me to do that. Each person is free to understand whatever they want. And I had made a picture from a stock image, as the main picture. And people thought that, oh yes, I was showing the girl, or it was an AI and it was false because it was an AI. I'm not going to take a picture of the girl and put it. It's crazy,
Yeah. But how this tweet that was viral impact you? Did it impact you? And if so, how? Personally?
I saw how negative and critical people are, but in a very funny way, because they didn't bring anything concrete to the conversation. It's they're making assumptions and they don't care about right or wrong. They just care about their own opinions, and they think that their own opinion is equal to reality. So it was very funny to me, because that's how I also could get a reaffirmation of different levels of consciousness, them being on the lower level of consciousness, because being critical without anything concrete to add to the table is just being on the lower level. And then if I criticize someone, I'm going to give constructive feedback by observing something out of my own knowledge about a certain topic. But I'm not going to directly criticize randomly or without a ground. That doesn't make sense. So that's a whole difference. It was just fun. And I gained 500 followers. I was at 700, and I went up to around 1,200.
Just with one tweet?
One thread, but
one thread.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, good performance.
Pretty good.
Okay. And I remember now that you told me at the beginning, when you started to help men, you did it in English, right?
It was a year and a half ago, a bit more. Yes, I tried to.
So why did you start in English, and why you are not doing it today in English?
Because French, for me, is definitely... So I have a C2 level in English, and I taught English at least. So it's not an issue, but just in terms of fluency and ability to communicate everything I want to communicate, it's way easier in French. And I really wanted it to be simple. The French market is enough to start. I didn't really want afterwards, after reconsidering it, I didn't really want to start in the English market. I mean, it's more competitive, even though there's still room to grow, but it requires more effort, because again, see, my mother tongue is French, so I was like, I don't really need to start it in the English market. Why not?
Okay. Keep it simple.
Yeah,
Play with your advantage.
exactly.
Okay.
Because I had another business on the side. It wasn't for the purpose of making pure sheer money, but just like creating the community, having the lay ground for the foundation for the whole concept. And then if I can sign clients, great. But it's more like of a bonus, let's say.
Okay. Okay. And regarding the B2B side of your business life, what is it exactly? What do you do inside of it?
B2B side, so now it's mostly processes, coaching the sales force. So the appointment setters, the closers, and taking care of everything that's about um, the the funnel of the clients, pretty much. So it's all the processes, creating SOPs, optimizing the processes, keeping the data tracked, and yeah, reporting to the clients, making sure that things go well. It's just basically like a COO position, kind of like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the profiles of your clients?
It's so in this case it's B2B2B, so it means that our clients are focused on selling to other companies, founders and stuff. So it depends the size. Some of them are also selling to what we would call in French ETI, so like bigger size companies, which are basically like middle sized. We would call it today a middle size in English. Middle size companies, yeah.
Yeah. How many employees is middle size?
Upwards 200 upwards up to 1,000 employees.
Okay.
So those are the clients that work with bigger companies, and some of them it's just like small and medium sized, like from 5 employees or even less, sometimes up to 50. So it depends. So yeah, so it's, I would say, quite different from B2C or B2B2C, because in this case it's not about sheer volume to make a good turnover and go up to 100K a month. For them, it's just about the right profiles, which can be achieved through media buying, like a good targeting of the audience, and good targeting on LinkedIn with prospection. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what is like your personal strengths in this business as a COO?
Mhm.
What do you bring exactly to Batis? Because now you work together.
Mm-hmm. It's mostly about the so I would say input output. So the ability to observe where are the we would say the weak points, why it's not working, analyzing why it's not working, and being able to act fast. I would say that's the main point, because I have worked really like in the operative fields and creating the processes in different companies or for different companies and for my own also. So I have this knack for systems and optimizing systems, I would say. Mm, it's mostly optimizing systems, so it has to be an existing system. To create it from scratch, a bit different. I have the ability to create the outlook, but for me to be the most efficient, I need someone to do the whole work, and I supervise the whole work. That's where I'm really efficient. So not in doing those things, but actually having the ideas for the things and supervising those things and making sure that everything goes well. That's for sure. And to have the ideas to implement based on the feedback that we receive on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis. So yeah, and to make sure that everyone is incentivized based on their performance. Because again, it's a company where we hire freelancers and not employees, which means that they are supposed to be paid by the performance, which means that if you don't perform well, it's thank you next. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what is the main goal and vision of this company?
Ooh. I think haven't you asked Baptiste about it already?
Yeah, but it's interesting to have your point of view, like as a business partner. Maybe you see it or understand it differently.
Sure, okay. Yeah, for sure. Honestly, it's to make sure that we have a team of A players. So what I really wanted to implement is the ability to recruit the right people, the right talents, and to bet on the right talents so that we don't hire them as sheer A players, but we allow them to grow with our, let's say, with our input, with our ability and coaching to make them grow to become A players. So they are talents. So it's about scouting talents and recruiting them at the right time, bet on them when no one would bet on them, to make them grow and become A players, to work with us, and enable the business to work just amazingly well. So that's one side. And for the clients, it's just to allow them to outsource solidly like 90% of the business and for them to just deliver. So the only thing that they would have to do would be to deliver to their clients and maybe to retain them if there is this possibility. Some of them, they have this retainer ability, some don't. So it depends. But even with mouth to ear, they can be recommended to other companies that they know. So it's okay. But yeah, so that's, we take care of everything. So we can get basically a direct percentage of their turnover. So that they rely on us to take care of everything so that they have more free time. They can deliver to a certain amount of clients. Let's say some of them, their minimum or their like the start of their pricing range is 15K,
Okay.
which is a pretty good amount. So to reach the amount of, let's say, 100K a month, they have to sign about 6 clients, a bit more, let's say 6.5. You got the idea. So 6 clients is not that much. And if we take care of the sales process up to this, like signing the lines, we don't want actually for them to outsource to us the signing the high ticket clients or the very high ticket clients, like just the lower tickets. So it's less than 5K, that would be on us, and more than 10K, let's say, that would be on them. So they would have a few sales calls, let's say 10 to 15. If it's really optimized, I would say like 10 a month. Out of them, they can close 6, and then it's just about delivery.
Okay.
So
Why these shows of letting them the high ticket deals and offers to manage?
because basically their whole business or their businesses is associated with their personal brand. So it's all about them. So in my opinion, and we've talked with Baptiste about it, it's like when those guys, the prospects, before signing with our clients, before signing with the entrepreneurs, they really want to be in contact of who's going to deliver to them. For such high tickets, for them it's still considered to be high tickets. They want to talk with the main guy, let's say, which is understandable. When it's like a lower tickets, 5K and less, it's okay. Even if it's like a closers, like, or a commercial guy, sales guy, it's okay. So that's the thing.
Okay. Yeah. So there is also this need from the client side. I want to talk directly with the main guy, as you say.
Yeah, our job there would be just to really qualify them beforehand to make sure that when they arrive on the sales call with our clients, the entrepreneurs, they're already really qualified, and it's like warm leads, really warm leads, and they just have to show their vision, express what can happen through their work and their service, and it's basically as if it was mouth to ear. It's the aim, of course, it's kind of tough because it's coming from advertising or from LinkedIn prospection, but with a really good process, it can be done. Like nurturing the leads and stuff can be done.
Okay. Okay, great. And regarding hiring people that are not yet A players, so you hire them and you see them, then you train them, then they become better, they become A players. Are you not afraid that when they arrive at this stage, they start to look also to other offers or other companies and they left you after you have been build them for, I don't know, months?
Of course, we thought about it, and we have something completely fine for them to do it. Actually, we want to empower them into being able to even start their own businesses if they want. The only thing that we ask from them is, so through our coaching with them, we make sure to systemize everything. So basically, all the processes that we use to coach them and that they use, all the processes that they use, we let's say write everything down, or we record videos about it. So we have the whole process, which we can duplicate to scout new talents and to lower the amount of time or shorten the amount of time that it's going to take us to actually coach them into becoming A players. So that's one possibility. A second possibility is even easier. After having all the processes, after literally recruiting those talents to make them A players, we stop recruiting talents for A players and we just have A players which are employees.
Oh,
So
yes.
and then it's easier. We have everything and they have like a fixed amount of money every month. They have their own comfort and stuff. Sure, fair enough. It's all online anyway, so they don't have to go to the office. Very convenient. They get plenty of benefits. And since at that time we have grown to become a company that's really making 100K a month profit, we can definitely afford to have employees instead of freelancers.
Okay, yeah. So this is like the mid long term vision.
Yeah, exactly. Like 12 to 18 months vision for sure.
Okay. Okay, great. Good details. Good details. And to come back to men health, we talked about your clients, your offer, but we didn't talk much about you. You, Remy. So you were talking about a lot of first heal yourself, understand your past, your childhood. How was it for you? Because I guess you have experienced it on yourself first before to advise this to people.
Of course, that's a must-have, and that's also why I'm quite against the big word, but like I'm not really much into usual therapists, because most therapists, they just came out of a master's degree. They have the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge, but the thing is, they haven't done the work on themselves. And usually, people that go into like psychology masters, those people, they are the most wounded, because that's, it stems from a need to understand things better that you're going to start studying such fields. It doesn't come out of nowhere usually. So it's the most wounded people that are going to look into themselves or look into such things as psychology first and foremost. So most of them, they haven't done the work on themselves. And I've heard some of my clients, they told me, or even young ladies to whom I gave a few pieces of advice, they told me I learned more in 3 hours with you than in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years of seeing my therapist. I was like, how crazy is that, Oof. It's like, and they're being paid per hour, which is also a problem when I'm being paid to just heal my clients. So they know that I will help them to the very end. And again, it's worth it for me. The shorter amount of time it takes, the better it is for me on paper, because if I take more time, it's like different exchange of time for money. So there's this thing. But yeah, for myself, it was at first mostly like reading books, writing down a few things about my past, meditating a lot. And then it was a few of my relationships that taught me that there was still some work I had to do on myself, and that I was quite toxic, actually. But there's this fine line between, how toxic am I and how toxic is the woman in front of me that feeds my toxicity and that allows me to feed her my toxicity back. And most of the time it was just, she was quite toxic and she's feeding me her toxicity that basically make me feed my toxicity to her. Because in the first place, I'm very peaceful and I don't ask for much. I just ask for peace, calm, and to be just, like enjoying time together, and that's it. I don't ask for anything except for respect, and that's it.
So yeah. So if you think about it, it's like if you remove yourself from the bad environment, then you will not be toxic anymore.
How can you be toxic if you are a monk in the mountains and just like spending 12 hours a day meditating? You can't. Even though in the first place you're very toxic, you don't have a field to express your toxicity, which is why I usually give this comparison to my clients. Like, you have 2 options or 3 options, let's say. First one is become a monk in the mountains for 10 years, and then you can remove all the toxicity. But what is the chance that when you're going to go back to civilization, that you're going to stay sane and healed? Because you haven't been in a stimulating environment. So you've done the work by being kind of in a vacuum. So that's one. Second is doing the work by yourself. It's going to take you 10 to 15 years and you have no guarantee that you're going to be healed. Third option is you have help from a mentor, and the mentor will help you to heal, but this person has to have healed beforehand. So, yeah.
Okay. And as you said at the beginning of the podcast, you can talk about anything, right?
Sure.
So let's talk about your personal healing points. You mentioned that you were meditating, reading books, writing. What did you have to heal yourself regarding your childhood?
So I would say that I've done 50 to 60% of the work by myself through my readings, doings like meditation, self-care and stuff, and isolating myself from people. So all of that, I would say by myself and doing my own research and applying it to my life. And then there's another part which I've been that has been unlocked through a very special experience that I had with a woman in business who is specialized in what we call mental reprogramming. It was a 5.5-hour session. It was very intense. We went through my whole childhood. I understood a few things about my wounds. And then it was this whole like meditating experience, very intense, where I completely reconnected with a part of me. And then it was like this 21-day process to just like keep things straight and keep the change happening. And then I was a new man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I have two questions. And first, how did you meet this woman?
Recommendation from a friend. Was a friend of a friend, basically.
Okay. And so the 5-hour session was in person, I guess?
No, it was actually online.
Online?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what were the wounds that you had to heal back in the days?
Abandonment wounds, and somehow a betrayal wound from my mother's side.
Okay. Okay. And so it took you like less than a month with this woman and then the 21 days
to finish the work, absolutely.
to finish it. So you started before on your own, right?
It took me like 4 or 5 years before that to just do the first part, I would say. Yeah.
Do you think that the 4 or 5 years could be shorter if you knew this woman before?
Definitely. Yes, of course. If you have a mentor, it's so much easier, for sure. It requires you to trust the process, of course. So you have to do still some work by yourself on your own. But still, it's completely doable to make it 3 months or 6 months, even 9 months. Even if it's a year, it's still way shorter than 5, 6, 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And regarding women, you were talking before about standards.
Mm-hmm.
What are your standards?
Oof, don't get me started on that. I have very high standards, let's say, especially when it comes to a relationship, committed relationship. Because with a very good friend of mine, who's called Tristan, if he watches this podcast, Tristan,
Hi, Tristan.
thoughts to you. Very amazing entrepreneur living in Thailand, in Pattaya. Very good friend of mine, who's very driven, very dedicated. And he had drafted at first what he called the perfect wife index to define that the women, to make sure that the women that he was meeting up with were of sufficient quality just to go a bit forward and have deeper interactions with them, let's say. And then he talked to me about it. I was like, share it with me. You know what? I'm going to try to improve it and make it amazing with different criteria and stuff. Like, sure. He shared it with me, and it went from around 10 or 11 criteria to first the V2 was 24 criteria, and the V3 now is 34. 34 criteria with different coefficients with grades from 0 to 10 for each criteria. And then you do the whole multiplication and stuff, which allows you to have a score out of 10.
Wow.
So it's pretty good.
And do the coefficient are they like by default or is it personal?
So I made them by default out of understanding of how each criteria matters regarding the person. And it's true that it matters a lot. Matters a lot. But there's one thing. Okay. There's one thing that cannot really be observed from a very statistical point of view or analytical point of view. It's this or actually it could, but it's a bit different. It's like you take into consideration the physical appearance or the beauty of the woman, and there are three points or three criteria regarding that. It's one which is like according to global standards, so how beautiful is she according to global standards. And then there's the cultural standards, and then there's the personal standards. And each has its place. So it's possible to really observe from an objective perspective the value of the woman, basically, like how valuable is she on the interpersonal or intersexual market, let's say, marketplace. Just the charm is quite hard to grade. That's very personal. And I found out that there are a few women that I could rate out of all the criteria. I could rate out of like 7.5 out of 10, which is a very high grade, honestly. Because most women that some of my guys are rating, they are at like 5. Some of them, they are in relationships for a few years, and the women that they are with, I made them try 4 out of 10. Like, it's so bad. It's awful.
Now together since a few years.
Yes. Like, it's crazy. And I'm telling them, yeah, I should break up. That's crazy.
Yeah, what's happening in the mind of the guy when he sees this grade 4?
No, they are wounded, so they are quite delusional, like a woman. It's just like, but there's this passion, the love I have for her, whatever. No, it's just the routines, and that's it. It's the idealization. It's bullshit. So it's all about, at the end of the day, and so I tell to all my guys, it's all about having balls. Do you have balls or you don't have balls? Are you able to act upon your life and to take drastic decisions, to take drastic measures, to get massive results or not? If you're not, then shut up and accept your life. That's it. But don't bother, don't complain.
Yeah. Some people don't. They accept their situation. That's true. Also.
Up until they are 40, and then they become crazy and they kill their wife and their children and kill themselves. That's something also.
Okay.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Do you believe in love?
I believe that, I do believe in love, of course. Just love is built. It's built progressively. It's not something that happens, bam, like this. Like, if you're healed, you cannot fall in love. I had this conversation with my young date from earlier, this young woman, very interesting. And love is built. And it's built by genuinely wanting to connect with the person. And that's how love is built. If you're healed, you cannot fall in love, because falling in love is basically falling in love with the idea that you have of the person. It's not with the person as they are. And it can only come from a place of lack, a place of misunderstanding, and a place of toxicity, let's say. Because you can only fall in love with something you believe you don't have. And if you're healed, you understand that everything you might find outside of yourself, you can find within. Which is why to really love oneself equals to be able to truly love someone else. And the rest is not loving. And I always tell my guys that we're in relationships and stuff, they were like, oh, I loved her. I was like, no, you loved maybe an idea of her, but that's it. It's not true love. And when you have only a limited amount of love to give to someone, that means you cannot love yourself if you give them this love that you have. It's like a quota. And because of that, it's not true, sheer, unconditional love. It has conditions. So, which is why love is built progressively. And the best relationships are relationships that you build progressively. So it starts really, and it's, for some reason, for some people, they call it like completely crazy. It's like the best kind of relationships, you will build them on top of a friendship. Starting friendship, becoming a relationship when you genuinely want and accept to commit to that person that you're really connected with and understood on a deeper level. And then you allow yourself to change this friendly love into like relationship kind of love, or like partner kind of love. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very detailed. And how do you put love as a criteria in your shit for the formula?
I put the relationship to the father, relationship to the mother, the ability to acknowledge her wound, and how healed is her wound. And so based on that, if her wounds are healed, then she loves herself. The woman I was mentioning earlier, healed because huge amount of self-love. And we talked about this topic, which was very funny. It's like for most people, this huge amount of self-love, it can literally be considered to be arrogance, pride, or conceitedness. And there's this young woman that I will not mention. Will not mention her name. Recently, I've been called, so it's so funny, a narcissistic person, and that's my behavior and mannerisms were irritating her. And it was so funny to me because really, I absolutely love myself and I know myself and I know my worth and everything. And then when I read that, I was like, she's so wounded. She's so wounded. Because if you mistake sheer self-love and appreciation for oneself for arrogance and pride, it just means that you're coming from a place of lack and you're wounded because you don't know what is pure, sheer self-love.
Yeah. Yeah. Regarding your standards, so they are high. Okay.
Quite high.
So if they are high, how many women do you meet, or how frequently do you speak to women to meet women that match your standards?
So the great thing is I'm not looking for anyone and I'm not waiting for anything. I'm just embracing life as it is, which is the great thing. So the encounters that I have, great, amazing, love it, but I don't rely on them. So uh, mainly why I'm approaching women nowadays, it's to be able to prove to the guys that I'm coaching, for example, that it's possible to have great results, possible to find amazing profiles, very interesting profiles, very captivating, and that are quite open-minded. Even recently, like women that I talked to, very cute, very nice, great vibe, great energy, and out loud in this first encounter, she even mentioned to me like that she really appreciated my energy and she found me very attractive. So it's already a match from just the vibe and the first, like from the get-go. It was spoken. It's not about just reading the implications or what we would call the subtitles.
Yeah, or behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like direct. So great, this is an amazing start. And so to prove to my guys that it's possible, I display to them those skills in person when they come here in Budapest, because some of them come. Now I actually have like 3 guys here. So some of them are going to come in at the end of the month, some in December. I'm telling them, come whenever you want. I'll take time. We can do many things together, training together, eating together, approaching together, and then the theoretical part, so that they have something to rely on and to look forward to. So I'm mostly focusing on meeting women just for this purpose of giving more context, more practical aspects to my clients. And if I have a good connection with a woman, amazing, I'll cherish it. But whatever comes, I'm happy with it. That's it. So I'm not looking for someone. I don't care. Whatever comes, I'm just like, cool. If it's not cool, then not cool. But it's never a loss of time. If I have to talk about when I approach women, I would say I get the contact of women maybe 40% of the time or 30% of the time, maybe a bit less. And not because they refuse, but because in the end I choose not to take their contact because they do not interest me. I'm not interested in them. I don't care. So, and I have this, okay, now I'm going to be controversial.
Please.
I talked with my guys recently and I was like, okay, there are 4 positions to which you can put a woman when you approach them, and like just to understand the amount of time and energy that you want to invest in her. Main wife position, side wife position, concubine position, and maid or servant position. And depending on that, you will allocate resources to her accordingly. So main wife energy is like you give her the whole treatment. It's not, I wouldn't say the princess treatment, but you bond with her in such a way that's like it's extremely powerful. It's very intense. It's like you bring her on trips, you do things with her, you connect with her, you go on hikes. I don't know, whatever it is. You have a very deep friendship with her and stuff. Side wife also, but not to the same level. It's not as deep in terms of connection, but you still have fun with her, have activities. You can go on trips with her, but definitely not longer trips, not very far away. Concubine position is, just to enjoy a nice time when you're in the city, wherever you are. And she's just very cute, very cool, good vibe. But what disqualifies her from the, let's say, side wife is just that she doesn't have ambition. She doesn't really have things going on. She doesn't have the same sharpness or mindset. So it's like, okay, concubine, it's fair enough. She's still very cute, very nice, but not enough. And then the maid or servant position is those women, they have something for them, but it's just like one edge. They have one thing. They can have they're very charming. One of them, I know she's very charming. She has something, I don't know, like something nice, It's like some spice to it. Okay, cool. But the rest is, or they're like, she has her life organized, but she doesn't have much ambition. And there is like, well, what I would call like a fundamental barrier that doesn't allow you to connect on a deeper level with her. For example, if she doesn't speak a language with you in common on a higher level, language barrier is a very big thing. Because whether we want it or not, we connect with people also like on a fundamental like body language level, true. But if you really want to go deeper in terms of like connection, you still have to communicate with words, whether you want it or not. It's very important. So a servant or a maid would be just a girl that doesn't speak the language.
And yeah, that's interesting. Like the way that you have announced the different type of levels.
Mm-hmm.
But why you, as a man, would you focus on other women than your wife or potential wife? Why would you dedicate time to others?
I'm not saying that it should be your main wife, it should be your side wife and your concubine. I'm not saying that it should be the role. It's just like it is actually a very big part of Chinese lore, what I'm describing here, like this main wife, side wife, concubine, and the servant or maid. Actually, the main wife is being called the royal consort. So it's the imperial queen or the wife, the empress or the queen, let's say. Then the side wives are the other wives. Then there is the concubines, which are the one a bit hidden and you don't see them often, but they are still living, in the harem. And then there are the servants, which are like just the maids that, if you want to see them, sure, whatever. So it's just taking this image to understand the time and energy investment that you have in them, but it doesn't mean that you're going to marry the main wife. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you give her this energy. You give her this treatment, this level of treatment, because of everything that she brings to the table. So basically it's about the value that she holds, and based on the value that she holds, you give her this level of treatment, which just doesn't imply that you have to really marry those women, or it's just,
how do you treat them at the end?
Exactly.
Okay, this is in the mindset that so you meet and you have stories with different women at the same time, but you treat them differently.
Of course, 100%.
Okay.
But stories doesn't mean, and I'm really adamant on mentioning that, stories doesn't mean having sex. I'm always making sure to differentiate both. And actually, if I mention like most of the women that I've been meeting up with in the past years and stuff, it hasn't been much about the sexual experience, but way more about the connection. And the sexual experience is like to me, it's like a negligible. It's like it's a great bonus, but it's not at all the main part. And I'm not aiming at that. It's like, if I have a good connection, that's enough. Like the sex, if you know how to behave, it's very easy to get. It's so easy to get. And at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it's like it's a dick in a pussy. That's it. Okay. And you can say, okay, there are better pussies and like whatever and better sensations. Okay, sure. Whatever. But at the end of the day, it's still sex. And what does sex amount to if there is not the connection, the deep, true connection beforehand? So that's the thing. That's why, like, I can take a long time before actually having sexual experience with a woman. Long time being like a few months, because I'm not rushing it. Sometimes they want to rush it a bit. I'm like, chill out. I have time. I don't care about, like the put back your clothes on. I don't care.
Yeah. And how do you manage, like, in your case, so you see different women and you treat them at different in different ways, but do you tell them also that you are meeting different women? And if so, what do they want from you? Do they accept it, or is it like a no-go and they leave? How do they react?
So the thing is, that's one thing to understand. Women communicate in a covert manner, so implicitly. So the best way to communicate with women is implicitly, more often than not. If with toxic women, of course, so 99.99% of the world's population being not healed and toxic. So you have to communicate covertly. When it's a woman that's healed, if you ever come in contact with such a woman, you can just be very direct, straightforward, doesn't matter. But with other women, not so much. So it's all about communicating it covertly. So it's like, but in the first place, she understands on a deeper level for a simple reason. All of them, I ended up approaching them in the street. So if I approach them and I have a very high amount of self-confidence, they cannot think, oh, I've been the only woman that he ever approached. Impossible. So their reasoning is like, okay, this guy must approach tons of women. And he maybe is selecting them, sure, but he's not, just like the guy that stays at home and never sees anyone and stuff. So it's quite clear, and I don't really need to make it clear because it's
obvious in a way.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was thinking, if you are healed and you say, for your point of view, 99.9% of the population is not healed.
Absolutely.
If you did all this work and now you are this like state and you are healed, why would you want to still be in contact with toxic people and not only focusing on healed ones? So you build like a group of like girls and men, and you have your relationship with women, but only with women that are healed.
Because it's impossible. I mean, I'm creating the people or helping to create the people of tomorrow that are going to be healed. So that's for sure. That's why I'm doing what I do. But when it comes to women, I don't count on them for being healed before I meet them. So I never expect a woman that I meet or like approach to be healed. It's like, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I'd rather not focus my efforts on that and more like, giving a few pointers, a few clues, piece of advice to the women that I meet that are not healed, to see if they can actually start this process. And my storytelling or what I give to them as a context is always the same. It's like, I can only be in a relationship with a woman that's healed, and I would never spare any effort to build a relationship with a woman that's not healed. It's absolutely inconceivable for me because I'm healed, and it would be like a waste of time and energy for me to enter a relationship with a woman that's not healed.
Okay. Here, when we say relationship, is like a
committed relationship. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can be interacting with them, that's okay. As long as it's not non-committed and I don't have to allocate them time and energy. Because if I talk about like a normal week that I used to have when I'm meeting several women, like when I have like 10, 15 women, first and foremost, some of them are abroad, which makes it easier. They're not all in the same city. Easier, not because, oh, they would meet each other, that I don't care, but more because they don't have to be in the same place and I can just travel around and sometimes see them and stuff. It's easier in terms of communication. And the communication is very simple. It's like texting once in a while and not every day for sure, once or twice a week. And if we can figure out a meeting, then we talk about it and we meet. That meeting would be like 2 hours, 3 hours. So keeping it low in terms of time and energy investment, because I have a lot of work and interesting people to meet. So it's just like it's a bonus. It's just a bonus. If it's a good time, amazing. If it's not a good time, then throwing away.
Yeah. We forget destiny will bring us together. Exactly. It's on.
Exactly.
Okay. Good. And why did you want to heal people in the first place? Is it like a mission for you, or is it like something you just like doing?
It's a mission.
A mission.
Like I do feel that's what I have to bring the most to people is this healing part. And I really want to be able to find the right people to help me on this mission, to also help other people healing. So it's not about doing it only at my scale. So now it's just that, but I really want to build this, let's say, company where I have different people taking care of different things on the side of healing and on the side of dating. So amazing people for approaching, amazing people for texting, amazing people for dating. Because again, keeping in mind that 99.99, and I'm even downplaying it because really, like, all the women that you will meet, statistically, all of them, they're toxic and wounded. All of them.
So, and men too?
Men, like, a bit less than women, but yeah, still. Because it's easier for a man to heal than for a woman. Then he will have a harder time acknowledging it, but then he will actually act upon it. A woman will not. So most of the time again. Woman, I mean feminine woman and masculine man. Because it's about the energy. It's not about the man or woman. Some women, they are quite masculine in their energy, like element energy. And because of that, they will be able to do the work. So it's more about the energy.
Okay. Yeah, the polarity.
Exactly, the polarity.
Okay.
So that's about it. It's just finding the right people to help me on this mission, to heal the biggest amount of people and help them to live fulfilling lives.
Yeah, because healing is like it's attached to relationship between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
But some people, I think, will be interested only in healing first, because they cannot access the other part before being healed.
Yeah.
And so regarding the society we currently live in, do you think that society is helping us to heal, or is like
the opposite? Of course,
the opposite.
It wants to keep us on the lowest level because it's easier to control people when they're on the lower level, because basically they are only acting upon their urges. So food, sex, easy dopamine. So like scrolling on social media, like watching movies, series, whatever, anything that gives you like easy short-term dopamine, and that's it. So basically, we'll be able to call the 7 sins that could be observed. Very easy to keep people controlled with that, which is why they can be called sins without the context of religion, without the religious context, just about oneself. Sins toward oneself, because you're not helping or fulfilling your purpose on this earth. It's not even about bringing value to others, just even about bringing value to yourself and being a fulfilled adult. So,
what are the 7 sins?
In English, that's the thing. So it's like,
you can take your time.
How to call them in English? So there's pride. which is the main one. There is the sloth, so to be lazy. There is the I think luxury in English, or is it? No, lust. It's lust. So sexual aspect. There is one which is about, like eating too much. So it's the foods. Anger. There is, and we miss two.
Is there something linked to money or material stuff?
Yes, greed. Exactly. That's one. And then the last one is, it's a good question. I forgot.
We will write it in the
Yeah.
comment under the video, the list.
So yeah, but basically they're all linked to what could be considered urges. Like sloth is connected to wanting to rest and to be idle, to not do anything. Greed is connected to want to accumulate riches, the resources, but without the name. There is no aim to that. Lust, it's about just having sexual experience and just enjoying in the present moment, and that's it. Anger, it's about letting yourself loose in an emotion that's literally preventing you from being yourself and only connecting negativity through you to other people. So that, then the one about food, I forgot what it is, like basically it's just about wanting to eat all the time and indulging in delicacies or fast food, even fast food, just food, which again, it's enjoying the experience. It's basically the same as lust, but for food, which is why there's an amazing essay written by Al-Ghazali, which is an Arabic and Muslim philosopher from the 13th century, which is about what he called the two desires, which is the desire of the flesh and the desire of the belly, we call it. The flesh being the sex and the belly being the foods. And that he explains that if you fast, if you don't eat for a longer period of time, those two are going to disappear. So you're not going to want to eat so much and stuff, and you're not going to want to have sex all the time and stuff. So great essay. I really loved reading it. And then there is so pride. Pride is indulging in, or being complacent about your own self and believing to be better than others and diminishing others. So again, it's all about, and it all stems from ignorance of what is the higher self, ignorance of what it is to take a step back and understand things on a deeper level. So,
Yeah. And what is your personal relationship with the higher self?
very, very intense question. Yeah. Um, the higher self or the highest self depends, but basically it's the ability to connect to a version of you that already exists. It's basically what could be called the truest you, because it's not about what we could be calling like skills. It's not about skills. It's about really not know how. It's basically how you are. It's like it's intrinsic qualities that you have. So it's not something that you really work on, but something that you unlock. Oh,
That is the way.
merci. Something that you unlock and it's already in you. It's not something new, not something that's, it's not a learned process, or the only learned process is learning how to let go of the masks and reconnecting truly to you. So it's just like self-love, you do have this infinite amount of self-love or of love towards yourself, let's say. It's just about learning how to connect to this reserve.
Okay.
So yeah.
When you say you have to unlock, what do you have to unlock?
Here it's just through the healing process. So healing process, and then because of that, you have the ability to tap into that reserve of infinite love for yourself and others. So
Okay. Okay. So what is like if you have one, your vision of yourself for the next year and more if you have?
Very interesting question. I mean, I would say just very simply always becoming better. Better as in my skills on the B2B parts, being able to deliver the highest level of quality of coaching on the men's health parts, let's say. So in terms of defining those objectives or what's my vision, it's quite simple. It's just sticking to what I know works and at the same time just traveling on the side. So discovering new countries and stuff. I also have to pass my driver's license, which I haven't passed for the past 3 years. I'm just driving somehow illegally, which is not not the right thing to do because
Not recommended.
no, don't do that at home in your home country. But no, yes. So there are a few things like that. Writing a book is on my list also. Yeah.
About what?
About I would say cognitive and behavioral psychology in the realm of intercultural dating. So intercultural dating and what all of my experiences regarding that taught me. So quite interesting topic. I've written an article about it already, and I would like to write a book from like it would be like at the same time about my story, my experience, and key takeaways. So knowledge about it, etc.
Okay. And yeah, you mentioned that you have written articles. Is it one or many of them?
So a few articles, only 3 so far, because now the time is a bit lacking, because it takes quite a big amount of effort and research to be able to make it coherent and also to make it viable from a scientific perspective, with the studies backing up my writings. So there's still that, but yeah, I intend to do it again in the future
Okay.
when time is right. Yeah.
The 3 that you have written, what are they about? Is it like different topics or the same one but different angles?
So there is one which is, as I told you, about the interpersonal relationship in the context of international dating or dating like people from a different culture from you. And the 2 other are mostly about the understanding of what dating really means and the expectation being put from one person to another, and the relation, let's say, or the correlation between the way parents taught you as a child and what you would expect or what you would want from a relationship. So,
Mm. Okay. Okay. And regarding your mission of healing people, um, how far do you see it? Is it like, do you see it like when we were talking about a 1 year vision? Do you have a longer vision for this project?
30-year vision, maybe more, like a vision of just building it to be, I would say, a company of thousands of employees, I guess. I could call them employees or uh, people I collaborate with that would enable me to act on a way bigger scale and to make it like really like a whole machine of creating an insane amount of content, mm, thousands of pieces of content per month, if not tens of thousands, to be able to flood the internet with content regarding healing so that people would wake up,
Mm.
I would say.
Okay. And at this stage, will it be only in French or you will have different languages?
All the languages possible, of course.
All of them.
I mean, as much as it's possible, of course, at that time. But yeah, at least the main languages, which would be so French, Spanish, English, of course, Russian, Arabic, and could be also like Japanese, Chinese. Why not? Yeah, pretty much those languages. And the rest can follow up. Depends. Basically, it could be just if we find a good representative or representante at a local scale, at the scale of a local market, why not? It would just be about this person being coached internally to the company, so they would be able to transcribe everything that we have as values and the mission to their home country.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, and if you reach that level of size, um, will it become then your main project if we compare it to what you do today? Because today it represents only 25% of your time and energy, but you still want to grow something big.
Absolutely.
So how will you adapt it through the time from now to 30 years or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. If I have the collaborators, then of course at that time I can just focus on this business. But if you are surrounded by A players, the input that you give is mostly like about supervision, and it's you have the vision and you communicate about it. So you participate in events around the world and etc. like to conferences and stuff. So it's work that I really love doing. And at that time, it will depend, of course, because if you're talking about a 30-year vision, it's a big amount of time at the scale of human life. So it's 1/3, even half of it if you count 60 years even. So, but let's see step by step how things work out. But yeah, it's something that really I feel is my mission. And so I intend for the B2B business to be literally as the engine that's gonna fuel or that's gonna enable my mental health business, let's call it like this, to be automated and to have things delegated so that my time and energy are spent in the best way possible. And so I can focus on the right things for my business to grow and keep it simple, let's say. But yeah, it's not the vision for now. It's just like one step at a time.
Of course, yeah. Day by day.
Exactly.
Okay. So I have a chapter dedicated to each episode, which is challenges and lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are the main learnings, failure that you remember from the past year?
Ooh. Hmm. From the past year, as in like from 2024, or from the past year, like in the past 12 months?
Past 12 months.
Hmm. I would say when it comes to building a project, not even a company, but a project, you have to find the right people to help you with. Like doing it all by yourself, extremely time consuming, and you're not gonna have the results that you want. So associating yourself with the right people, I think I don't think I know. It's a must. It's extremely important. It's crucial, I would say, for the growth and for you to have an easier time. Because if you're alone dealing with everything, it's a huge mental charge, or it's like a huge amount of stress. So I'd say, yeah, people that are aligned with your vision and that are willing to put the same amount of effort as you are putting, I would say, is a big part. Mm, and then, so yeah, I have this thing. I am traveling every month, honestly, and it's fun. But I found out, especially recently, that the past few travels, the past few trips, I was quite disfocused because I was like, but I still have this and that to do. I want to do it. And I ended up, even though during the trips, just working the whole time. So I was like, so now if I go on a trip, it's mostly for work, or it's like, I'm working most of the time and just spending a bit of time sightseeing, but it has to be like in a city. Yeah. For now, I don't feel like disconnecting completely. I've done that before starting my second business spot, so men's health. And it was possible. For 2 days I fully disconnected myself. It was nice. But now I can't do that. So I have to focus now. Now it's the grind.
Yeah, yeah. Is it something that you miss, or now you understand why the need and it's a pleasure to just do what you have to do?
it's always a pleasure. What's really enjoyable is that I love what I'm doing. So, and nowadays, honestly, work doesn't feel much like work. It feels like fun. So it's cool. And yeah, it's quite enjoyable. So there are a few times when I'm a bit disfocused, but the main disfocus is instead of working, I'm gonna be reading. So it's like I don't watch series, I don't watch movies, I don't party, so don't drink, don't smoke. Very simple. So and I go work out or I go for an approaching session with a guy just to have fun. So it's pretty chill, you know. It's always going towards um I would say growth in terms of abilities or knowledge. So
Yeah, yeah. I can see from what you have mentioned is like being active and not passive also.
exactly. Absolutely.
So, okay, okay. So that was regarding learnings and failures.
Mhm.
What about success? What are the main success that you had this last 12 months that really you were happy about it?
So for example, recently when I've found the challenge that has been presented to me by Baptiste, was very hyped by it because it's a very interesting project and I do genuinely believe in it. Uh, because I've seen when it came to B2B2C, um, the fact that if you're unethical, it's very simple to make it work. If you're ethical, it makes it quite harder to make it work, at least with the model that we were using. So B2B2B sounds or feels like much better because again, you don't have to compensate um, a lack of volume. Like the volume that you have in terms of prospects is compensated by the turnover, as in uh, clients that pay more because they're companies. So the model in itself and what we do for the clients is great and they much needed because they have their very specific competence, a very specific skill or skill set, let's say, something that they're amazing at, but the rest they suck at it. So like creating a funnel, for example, taking care of the media buying part or the process, supervising that, and qualifying the leads and taking care of the whole system, or even for some of them, just selling to their prospects. They've been used to be spoon fed their leads, as in like mouth to ear and stuff, but it's not, you're not closing them. It's like, oh, my guy recommended you to me, so here I am. Here's my budgets. What can we do?
So, what do I think?
Yeah, exactly. So it's too easy for them, and so we're helping them with all of that that they're not good at, and they keep doing the things that they are good at and they like doing, which means signing the right clients which are going to pay for their most expensive contracts or most expensive package and delivering, which is what they're the best at.
Okay. And how is this linked to the success?
I would
Your success?
success as in finding the right person with the right vision to collaborate on a project, which is a big success, I would say. Very interesting that I'm happy to take up as a challenge in this way. There's that. Another success is starting my whole mental health business because it's really nice. I really love it. And I love to bring value to my clients, and they're giving me some great feedback about all of the content I create for them, all of what I'm giving to them when it comes to lives or in person. So it's just, this is also a great success.
Yeah. Yeah. When you think about it, like a lot of things happen in 12 months.
Crazy. But it's fun. It's always fun.
Yeah. If you have pleasure doing it, you will go far.
For sure.
Okay. And regarding advice,
Mm-hmm.
I always ask if we have a third person here
Mm.
that want to start something. It can be like a project, so it can be business, can be art. To start something,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of advice will you give to him?
I always give the same piece of advice to everyone. It's like act first. You can have an idea of what you want to do, act first, see how it goes, because for 99% of what your endeavor might be, the drawback of acting first is either non-existent or extremely small, meaning like the negative outcome you could get from acting first is negligible, which means you can act first, see what happens, and get your own lessons from it, and then act better. So I'm not, it's like, it's what even Alex Hormozzi says. So it's really true. And act massively. It's supposed to be massively. That's why I started like by creating one video, YouTube long form video per day, which was around 10 to 15 minutes each time. And it went pretty good. And I grew from 0 to 1,000 in 3 months, subscribers on YouTube. It was pretty cool. But so yeah, acting first.
Okay, so act first. Yeah, it remembers me when we were talking about countries and you deciding where you wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Act. You think about something, you go, you check, you feel it, and then
Of course.
you make a conclusion, and then you pivot. Oh yeah.
Yeah, why not? If you have the ability to actually act, why not acting? And more often than not, you have the ability to act. It's just what prevents you from acting, it's fear. So always asking yourself the question, will you want to act out of fear or out of love? Out of love for yourself or out of fear of the world or anything else? So it's let's say focusing whenever you have to make a decision about, for example, acting or not acting. Acting, is it acting out of fear or out of love? Or not acting, is it not acting out of fear or out of love?
So yeah. Okay. And now we welcome another person. He or she is already in the process of creation.
Okay.
At this stage, what type of advice will you give to the person?
Instead of defocusing and doing something else after you've done something that worked, keep doing the thing that worked again and again and again, and you can iterate with 10% of your energy on other things, but that's it. 90% of your work should be focused on what you know how to do best, which is why I want to delegate most of the things about my mental health business and to just keep doing what I do best, which is creating content, delivering to my clients. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good advice because some people, and many in fact, get distracted, or they have this quick dopamine of starting something or looking at something else without thinking about focusing on what works.
For sure. That's the issue. That's why they do not succeed in the end. I mean, I've been in this case too, so it's not nothing.
So do I.
Yeah, of course. It's nothing too crazy.
Yeah. So we are approaching to the end of the podcast episode. And here at What It Takes, we have a ritual. So each guest, at the end of each episode, writes a question for the next guest without knowing who it is.
Okay.
So the last one was a friend of us,
Yes.
Baptiste.
Did she know that I was gonna come?
No,
Okay.
he doesn't know. And so he wrote a pretty interesting question.
Okay.
Are you following the path of Jesus Christ?
Very interesting question. I would answer differently from the question. I would say that I follow a spiritual path, and I would even answer like in a different manner, which is that religion is a way of, like, it's a system, just like it would be like a political system. It's a religious system. It's for the people that do not have the ability to question things by themselves. So it's for people to abide by something without having to question it. That's the thing. The spiritual path, on the other side, can be very connected to religions, any religion whatsoever. And there are actually spiritual sides to each religion, even like a branch called being spiritual. And that's for people who are ready and are able to question things by themselves. So I like the concept of having a frame, uh, base from which to work with, when it comes to religion, for example. But I do prefer to make my own research, spiritually speaking, which means like inner work, connecting to certain things, um, even going as far as saying like connecting to past lives, for example, which is a thing. So I follow what could be called ancestral teachings regarding uh, the existence of God, um, the existence of higher self, and could be called angels also. Just there's this thing of, or this understanding of, I would say, each person will connect differently to something that can be considered one and the same. So even if we take religion, each person is going to connect to God in a different manner. So that's to take into consideration. So that's what I would say. And if it comes to the teachings of Jesus Christ, I would say yes, for sure. And those are teachings that have been passed upon humanity for a long time by different apostles, we could say, or by different prophets, we could even call them. So yes, and those teachings just are about morality and how to embrace an unlimited love, or let's say unconditional love towards oneself, others, and the highest, which is God or the universe. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. That was yeah. Thank you, Baptiste, for this question. So, if people want to connect with you, what is the best way?
Which social media or something, or
Yeah, if they are interested maybe in coaching, or if they want to read more about what you create, what are the best platforms they can use to connect with you?
to find out more about my work, I would recommend them to start by checking my YouTube channel, Rémi Expat Charmant, where so it's been a while I haven't posted because I was really busy recently with the B2B business, but I have something. And then it's my Telegram channel, because there I have a private community, which is paid communities, which is like 20 euros per month, where I create a lot of content. I have lives and everything, which just means I can talk to people directly. So that's possible. And if they have a specific need or specific question, then they can contact me on Telegram at Rethics, Rethics, R ethics, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, great. Okay, do you have a last word for the audience, or do you want to say anything special before the end?
Massive actions bring massive results. If you act, you will not be able to be disappointed, because at least you have acted. So it's not about the results, it's about being disfocused from the result and focused on, let's say, the effort that you provide. So if you focus on the effort, nothing can go wrong. But most people are really focused on, the result that they're going to get. It's a good indicator is, do you have results out overall, overall, or you don't? But most things take time to see results. So if you feel that there is still a bit of results, don't expect more. And comparison is the thief of joy. So wait for things to happen. And as long as you keep doing what you're best at, it's gonna work.
Thank you for those wise words. Yeah, to end up the podcast, we have this ritual. So I let you now. It's your turn to write a question that will stay between us and the next guest. I will ask him what you have written there.
Okay. Should write it here.
Yeah, here is good.
Okay, perfect.